Welcome back. It's the Fatal Vision podcast. We're on to chapter two here of part two. It's James McGinnis, your host and loyal servant, and we are joined again, of course, as always, by Billy. How are we doing, Billy?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. It's been a complicated time for a
Oh yeah,
variety. Yeah, I mean, we're off air talking through our creative partnership and where it's going to go, and I just know a lot of people out there. They saw that I recorded an interview on a different podcast, and a lot of people have been asking me if this was like the end for the Fatal Vision podcast, and
yeah.
I'm here to
Um,
say no fucking way.
so so that's your response to all the nervous bedwetters out there that the podcast is on its last legs.
Well, what I'm saying is, friends, I'm staying on the podcast. They're not going to push me out. I'm not going to let the elites out there on tweets and Reddits push me out of the race. I'm not going to let these pod pukes with their low effort podcasts say what my future is going to be. So that's where I'm at.
So you're
I'm
staying in.
I'm staying in. I'm staying in. Look, I'm allowed to interview people about politics sometimes and to feed my flock of my faithful Holyoke supporters. Uh,
Yes, yes.
and then I'm allowed to come on here and tell the truth about Fatal Vision. So I
That's
don't know what else
beautiful.
to say. I've been taking
Yeah,
a lot of shit.
you don't have anybody else on. Yeah, we don't have any callers on right now there were a lot on earlier. Before the Corey was able to get the feed going, we had a lot of worried people that we were splitting up and that the podcast was going to have to be reformed or re uh annexed into a some sort of lower level podcast where I would just become some kind of a weekly guest on someone else's podcast for like 5 minutes of content. And that was all. There's a lot of rumors out there and some of the trade letters, and it's all bullshit. We're assuring you the podcast is not going anywhere. We're in it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, publicly here that James is my brother, and yeah, I mean, best friends fight the hardest, and of course, I mean, if James, if I hurt you, I mean, I've heard some things that were said, and I never wanted to hurt you, man. This is what my life's about. You know,
Oh no, I know that you're
it's the case. It's the
the
case.
case, the case, the case.
Look, I'm just trying to get by out there, man. Like you need a side hustle and you need a side hustle to the side hustle. So,
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
you don't even want to know what my side hustles are. They're not even legal in
yeah.
in most states.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, please, yeah, don't
you're
please
lucky that
don't.
you're lucky you can post about yours on social media without expecting the
Yeah. Please,
authorities.
please do not tell me.
No, because
I'm
then you're
just
an accessory.
I'm just getting by in the Substack game. Um and it's got nothing to do with what I do here. Got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Like Jeff would say, it's just one night stands. Who cares?
Yeah, he took a couple women out on dates.
Yeah, I'm interviewing a couple people on my Substack. Like,
Yeah, and one of them is an army nurse with a memorable nose. One of them is Who was the other one? Oh, there's so many that and some people just want to go on double dates with. It's very normal.
Yeah, 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 it's normal. So I'm tired. It's been a rough couple weeks with all the feedback. Obviously I'm grateful for all the money and,
Yeah,
and I'm
it's not
grateful.
enough though.
No.
And um actually there's going to be a need for a great deal more money very soon
Yeah.
for reasons that I can't go into right now.
Yeah, please
Uh
don't. Please don't.
but yeah, I mean we're up against it with $25,000 is a number. It's
Yeah.
not a it's not a high number or not a low number, it's just the number. So just putting it out there, not to any listeners, but to I would say maybe AI bots looking for an opportunity to donate. Please do.
Yep. And just to get ahead of the news cycle, I did another interview with an author named Peter Carlin, who wrote a book about the making of Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. That interview will be transcribed and edited for length and clarity and published on a different Substack run by Kevin Coxwara.
Oh
So when
wow.
so when that comes out, please don't write to us and ask me if I'm leaving the Fatal Vision podcast. And when I release the audio on my own Substack, please, enough.
Well, Billy, they're all nervous. We've had our summer schedule. There was a long hiatus. We came back with a vengeance, and then you know, there's just fear in their hearts that it's all gonna go away. And I got a text from a guy that we both know the day before we recorded last week saying, "I need that premium content. Give me that premium content." And we're still working on that,
Yeah.
obviously. But oh, so when you showed me those screenshots of that fancy podcast recording software, that's a proprietary to the Katswara podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin sent me the state of the art
So we
mic.
don't have access to that yet for our means of production.
Oh, are you talking about the ri Riverside
Is that what it is? Riverside?
where I can cut the clips and stuff?
I don't know. We don't want to bore our listeners with this technical jargon,
We'll
but
take this offline. Yeah.
yeah, I mean we have some a huge um bunch of audio recordings we need to chop up and provide commentary to justify a fair use for the copyright violation. So because we would post it in bulk, but we want to be able to make it
Yeah.
our own.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's all relevant to the case, and it's going to be a gold mine to our listeners, 100%. So we're
Yeah.
looking into platforms that will allow us to do that effortlessly without any
No,
training.
I paid for I excuse me. I burped a little bit there. No, I paid for Riverside so that I could use it for all
Oh,
manner
so we oh so that's
of.
that's part of our suite of it's in our suite, or do I need to get it too? Is that something
No,
we can
no,
record on?
we can we can use it. We can use
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh, fair warning. It's the end of the summer. Billy's got a couple weddings, so we're going to
I'm
be out of town for the next 2 weeks, but we'll be back with a vengeance in September,
I'm gonna be in California and I will be thinking about the case while I'm out there.
as you should, because that's a huge part of the case.
The wedding I'm going to, it's a dear friend. She is a fan of her favorite writer actually is Janet Malcolm. So I'm hoping to do something at the ceremony to make my objection known. I haven't quite figured out.
Yeah, I really didn't need to know that, and that's super fucked up.
Yeah, well, we already talked about this person like years ago, but
Yeah, I didn't know. That's good stuff. I'm glad you're so magnanimous with our sworn enemies, or actually a
look,
friend to you. Yeah.
well, known her for 15 years and
No, certainly you haven't even known me half that long.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't think she organizes her life around Janet Malcolm the way we organize it around Fatal Vision. I haven't spoken to her about Janet Malcolm in, 5 years. So I'm just saying that if I do have an opportunity at the ceremony to get a win for us, I'll
Yeah, do what you can, you know.
yeah.
Everything counts. Nothing is there's no fight too small to take on.
And then I'll be in France the following weekend, and I'll be thinking about the case there as well.
Solid. Great.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you wanted to take a minute to address some of the flack you got from last week. People seem to think that I was really mad at you for some of
Yeah, well,
the language
you know,
you
I'm very
used.
passionate and speak freely and um there was some people said that you blacked out or that you said that you blacked out or that you were telling me that it wasn't cool to say someone was subhuman for liking Janet Malcolm and it ended up calling them Nazis. So yeah, it's pretty wild. Free speech and all that. But
I love free speech.
yeah. So it seemed to you that it seemed to some that perhaps I was sort of taking on this role as the wild man, and you're like the sort of the straight-laced, you know, guy who's trying to keep things on the ship from going off the beam.
Yeah, I don't think that was fair to you, really. When we get on here, we don't know what's going to happen.
It's
And
live radio.
yeah,
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 live
it's
taped
literally
radio.
live. It's live. You're hearing it live. And
Yeah, yeah.
we
It's the definition of live.
have you guys
So,
heard of live on the air?
yeah,
Because that's what we are.
yeah. In a deep metaphysical sense, it's happening as you're hearing it.
And it always will be happening.
Yeah, always was, always will be, always is. So yeah, I'll address that flack. There's been a lot of bedwetting around the fact that we put up a 60 minutes interview plus two other interviews on our YouTube channel that's garnered over 300 views. And a lot of people are sending me emails saying you don't have the copyright to that program, and 60 Minutes is going to come take your fucking lunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that I might even be a hypocrite for posting that.
Oh,
So we're stepping into it left and right. And then, and also the most delightful thing is the comments we've gotten on that video were some of the dumbest I've seen on any forum.
yeah, it's been pretty hard to look
Yeah,
at.
and Billy was so kind to jump in and correct the misconceptions.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If my devotion to this whole project is being questioned, why the fuck am I diving into YouTube comment? Like, I'm sorry.
Well,
Who's the fucking arbiter of this?
you won't have to be, eventually, we won't have eight, we'll have 8 million comments on a video, so you won't have time. But at this
But I
point, it's the
will
most,
try.
yeah,
I will
you got to
try.
try. And then I went on to the dark heart of dark web, the X site, and I
Yeah.
found some dope stuff on there about Jeffrey MacDonald conspiracy theories that I couldn't even make any sense of. But so I don't know if those are bots saying that or if there's some sort of far right, no offense, if you're far right, that's good. I'm glad. There might be some right wing, some maybe they're far left conspiracies, who knows? Where people are getting these lines from that McDonald blew the whistle on corpses returning with drugs in them from Vietnam, and so then there was a some kind of an operation by the satanic government to take out his family as punishment for his blowing the whistle. So
Hmm.
that sounds about it. It sounds about as credible as adrenochrome or geez, what are some of the other ones? Oh, like everyone, all the football players who had the vaccine are all having heart attacks on the field now. It's sort of like in that sort of that kind of ballpark. So I'm glad to see the case brought up in the insane circles, the militias and all that, because it helps us, helps boost the visibility of the podcast, and it gives us a chance to push back.
Right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a good friend of ours named Chris, Sister Chris, was talking the other day about what hope is. And she said something like, I'm just going to keep planting flowers. And even if they mow them all down, I'll just plant them again.
That's amazing. I think that's what we're sort of put here on this earth to do is just basically to learn how to love.
That's right.
And I think
Well
that's
put.
she said that much more poetically.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what this whole podcast is about. It's learning how to love, really, in its way.
Yeah, William Blake said that we're put on this earth but a short while to learn to bear the beams of love.
I love that. I love that from him. Uh,
Yeah. Feels like that's
and
what we're
MacDonald is
doing.
known to have loved poetry and philosophy. And for whatever reason, the night of the murders, he wasn't reading his beloved philosophy and poetry. He was reading, what was it? Kiss Me Deadly by Mickey Spillane. He was reading one of his mysteries.
Yep.
Um,
He was a lover of the arts, including the folk music scene in
that's
Greenwich
right.
Village.
When Bob Dylan and Joan Baez were in the old Greenwich Village, he and Colette were jamming themselves into those cafes, and even though he would have called the FBI on any of them at any given moment. Uh,
I think he also went there with Penny, but
oh yes,
Penny didn't really get it.
Penny was too much like a gas station owner vibe.
Yeah,
Uh,
blue collar.
blue collar. That's not Jeff. That's not Jeff. Um,
12:02 on the East, and we're live on air.
yeah, we're going. It's a late weeknight, and we're getting it done. We have some material we'd like to review. As always, we want to sort of take you into the to chapter two of part two. I did a little review ahead of time. It's going to be this is part of the book that the Jeffrey MacDonald-defender is going to be absolutely delighted with, and I believe this is when asked for a sample of what the book was going to look like. I think my dad sent probably this chapter to Bernie and Jeff in 1980.
Oh.
Um, so the army is not going to look great with some of the bungling guys. If you're a bungling person where you think bungling means people get to murder their families, you're gonna love this fucking chapter because you're gonna get a lot of confirmation of bungling.
All right, kick it off. And we'll
Oh,
see.
sure.
See
All
how
right.
long, we'll see how long we can go.
I'll see how long we can go. Yeah, Article 32, excuse me, this is Chapter 2. Article 32 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which governs legal procedures applicable to members of the U.S. Armed Forces, requires that, subsequent to the lodging of a criminal charge by military authorities, an investigating officer be appointed to inquire as to the truth of the matter set forth in the charges, and to make a recommendation as to the disposition of the case. Colonel Warren V. Rock, an infantry officer with 30 years' experience who was serving as director of psychological operations at the John F. Kennedy Institute of Military Assistance at Fort Bragg, was assigned to conduct the Article 32 inquiry into the murder charges against Jeffrey MacDonald. Were he to find that the charges had merit, Colonel Rock could recommend that MacDonald be court-martialed. Should he find them to be without substance, it was within his power to recommend that they be dismissed. It had become standard practice within the military to treat an Article 32 hearing as merely a formality at which the prosecution, often unopposed by the defense, did no more than outline its case, presenting just enough evidence to persuade an investigating officer already inclined in that direction that the charges were worthy of referral to court-martial. Bernie Siegel, however, did not intend to follow standard practice. His past experience with the military legal system had led him to believe that once a case had advanced to the court-martial level, at which the defendant's fate was determined by a jury composed of officers chosen by the very military authorities who had brought the prosecution, it became almost impossible to win. At that stage, the prosecution simply had too much control, and for too many of those involved, career officers, for example, concerned with their own chances of promotion, there was simply too much at stake, too much to be lost, and too little to be gained from the embarrassment of a not guilty verdict. Siegel decided to mount a full-scale defense at the Article 32 hearing. Section break.
It's good. It's very good writing. Again, I mean, he's in a very short amount of space. He's explained the, military code of the code of military justice, what an Article 32 is, some of the underlying dynamics of these proceedings.
Yeah, and I'm just always moved by how and we're going to hear more of this in a minute, that they just assumed that Jeff would be fine with Colonel Rock having an unopposed, a one-sided thing,
Hmm.
that this was such an easily exploited avenue for Bernie to, excuse the expression, flood the zone with bullshit to derail this thing. But
Yeah.
they did. They gave him the golden egg, and I think what's happening now, the ingenuity behind him putting his defense on now, is ultimately what helps them prevail and what helps lionize him in Jeff's mind as an unbeatable genius.
Yeah. The proceeding was convened on the morning of Monday, July 6th, well attended by the public and press. The lieutenant who had been in charge of the military police at 544 Castle Drive during the first hectic hours following the discovery of the bodies testified. Under cross-examination by Bernie Siegel, he admitted that he did not know how many military policemen had been inside the apartment. Boom!
Yep,
That
that's it.
he had never, go ahead.
So that's it.
That he
Case
had
closed.
that he, that he had never attempted to compile a list of names. Boom! That he had left no one in charge to make sure that evidence was not disturbed when he himself had left the apartment to call for an ambulance and to notify the provost marshal of the crime. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
That in fact, one of his men had picked up the receiver that was dangling from the bedroom telephone in order to notify headquarters that the MPs had arrived at the scene, that even after hearing MacDonald's description of the four assailants, he had failed to order the establishment of roadblocks at exits from the post, despite suggestions from several of his men that he do so, and that soon after his arrival at 544 Castle Drive, he had noticed wet grass tracked in from outside at various locations throughout the apartment, but that he did not know if this debris had been brought in unknowingly by his own men, at least a dozen of whom had been running up and down the dark and narrow hallway of the apartment, some on the verge of hysteria as a result of what they had seen, or perhaps half an hour earlier by the four intruders who had murdered Jeffrey MacDonald's wife and children. Military officials in attendance were apparently taken aback by the sharp focus and aggressiveness of Siegel's cross-examination. The realization that there was the potential here for unfavorable publicity quickly penetrated the upper levels of the chain of command. Following the lunch recess, it was announced that the remainder of the hearing would be closed to press and public. Freddie Kassab went immediately to Washington and held a press conference. He said, I am here today for the sole purpose of attempting, in my small way, to set the scales of justice at a normal balance. What I ask is not partiality, not anything illegal, not anything unusual. I simply ask that my son-in-law, Captain Jeffrey MacDonald, be afforded the same right as any other American citizen, and that is a public hearing. I ask that the command influence that was used to close these hearings after they were open for a few brief hours be overruled by a higher authority. Surely, in this great country of ours, there must be a way for a man, even though he is in the army, to receive fair and equitable treatment. My wife and I have a right to show to the whole country that the charges against Captain MacDonald are false. My wife and I have three graves to visit, and when we do, we want to feel that we are doing everything we can to protect from any wrong the one that was most dear to them. Despite a Jack Anderson column harshly critical of the Army for having barred the public from the proceedings, the hearing continued behind closed doors. The only spectator permitted to attend was Jeffrey MacDonald's mother, who was allowed in after a wire service photograph showed her seated on the steps outside the locked hearing room. And an accompanying story quoted her as saying that as a sign of her belief in her son's innocence, she would remain there each day that the hearing was in session or until the military police dragged her away.
Wow, it's going great for Jeff this week.
Well, Kassab seems to be on his side.
Yeah.
So
I mean, going from Long Island, Patchogue to DC to hold a fucking press conference,
it's amazing.
um, that's brutal. He really went out on a limb for this guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Imagine what it would take for a guy that did that with the confirmation bias that that would engender to turn
oh
around,
yeah, oh
pull a
yeah, but
180.
Billy, the defender's tripping over himself to say, oh, but he a fanatic like him always needs to be in a fight. And when there was not no when there was no one else to fight, when there was no the intruders weren't available to fight, then he had no choice but to turn his deranged passion toward our beautiful Jeff, who's nothing but a healer.
Yeah. Freddie was in the grips of a pathology.
That makes total sense. Yeah, not Jeff. No, he's no pathology there.
Yep.
Uh, so what are we thinking here? Um,
Well, yet again, that was a good section by Joe. Like
yeah,
not a lot of space to cover quite a bit of ground.
no. He's being very, I mean, I think if Jeff had, he's really just cruising through the Article 32. When you look compared to what the other proceedings get in terms of the real estate of the book, this is really minimized for good reason. And I think Jeff and Bernie were hoping that this would be like almost the entire book would be the Article 32 hearing, and then like the trial, all, and then of course everything that happens at the trial that was unfair and Stokely, or whatever the hell turned up in the other volumes that were put to press later.
Right.
Um, so yeah, now we're gonna get some inside baseball here about what was going on here behind closed doors. Bernie Siegel was discovering, to his amazement and to his client's delight. All right, quick pause. Just mad respect for Joe to characterize Jeff for being delighted about anything about this.
Hmm.
Um, that's pretty fucked up. That's not really a feeling you would expect from a victim of a violent crime that took your entire family. And but now there's nothing is delighted more than to see his enemies humiliated, and
Hmm.
this is what's happening here. Just how confused, disorganized, and riddled with procedural error the Army's case against MacDonald really was. Siegel's vigorous and exhaustive cross-examination of prosecution witnesses unearthed a series of investigative blunders far more extensive and significant than he would have ever dared hope. From the earliest moments of the crime scene, when the military police sergeant had picked up the dangling telephone, to the later laboratory ineptitude which had resulted in the loss of the blue fiber from beneath Kristen's fingernail and the piece of skin from beneath the fingernail of Colette, the Army had been, as Franz Joseph Grebner had known since February, grossly incompetent. All right, brace yourselves, McDonald haters. This is going to be a tough go here. This is the stuff they've been talking about for 55 years as total vindication. It turned out, for example, that the flower pot, whose upright position had so aroused Grebner's suspicions, had actually been set aright by an ambulance driver who had ignored all instructions to leave the crime scene untouched. The same driver, according to the testimony of a military policeman who had observed him, had managed to steal Jeffrey McDonald's wallet from a desk, all while the crime scene was supposedly being preserved. The doctor who had been called to 544 Castle Drive to pronounce death testified that he had rolled Colette McDonald onto her side in order to check for wounds in her back, and that in so doing he had removed the blue pajama top from her chest. He said he did not remember where he had placed it, but would not rule out the possibility that fibers from it might have fallen within the body outline on the floor. Oh, damn. The pathologists who had performed the autopsies had neglected to take each fingerprint or hair sample from the bodies, and when a laboratory technician was later dispatched to the funeral home for the purpose of obtaining fingerprints, he found Kimberly and Kristen already embalmed, looking like two little angels lying there, and he could not bring himself to disturb them further. Thus, the children's fingerprints were never obtained, leaving many more unidentified fingerprints on the premises than might otherwise have been the case. Unidentified is has quotes around the word
Hmm.
because yeah, they lived there. Their fingerprints should be everywhere. Um, the CID had not realized that hair samples were lacking until after the bodies were buried. For the known hair samples to match against the blonde hair found in the palm of Colette's hand. Oh yeah, what is it about that hair? I've heard something about that one. Um, the CID chemist was forced to rely upon hairs taken from her coat collar, not from her head. The efficacy of this procedure was severely undermined when it was determined, much to the prosecution's chagrin, that a known hair sample obtained from a sweatshirt of Jeffrey MacDonald turned out not to be his hair at all, but a strand of hair from his pony. Each day's testimony, even during the prosecution's portion of the case, seemed to produce less evidence linking MacDonald to the crimes than it did new examples of CID bungling. The discarded pajama bottoms, the empty garbage, the flushed toilets, the destroyed footprint, which, superficially at least, had appeared to match a test print taken from the left foot of Jeffrey MacDonald. The string of errors would have been highly comical had their consequences not been so serious.
Yeah, he's
I
throwing
felt,
in there though that the
yeah,
left foot did belong to Jeffrey MacDonald.
yeah,
So, I mean, this is a point we've made earlier, but had they not bungled it, Jeff would have been so fucked.
yeah. I mean, it's like this wouldn't have. This doesn't prove that he's innocent. It proves that it's. It just shows how this case would have been over a lot fucking faster.
Yeah, I mean, the pajama bottoms, like that would have proved what exactly they got thrown at. I mean, it would have had his wife's blood all over them.
I think it would have had Kristen's blood from when he laid her across his lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there would have been incredibly definitive evidence, and of course the skin sample under Colette's nail.
Hmm.
Um,
The hair in her hand, which you mentioned, that was
yeah,
later
which
tested and
which
was,
thank God wasn't lost and was later identified as Jeff's as being pulled out from his arm
yeah.
ripped in a struggle. But yeah, error on the top of bunglers does not intruders make.
I'm still waiting for anywhere in here where Siegel is demonstrating that
Oh,
intruders were there.
no, no, no. I mean, in this week's, we're just in the prosecution's portion of the case, and then we're gonna shift gears next week to the amazing stuff concerning Kenneth Micah
Oh yeah.
and the emergence of Helena Stokely
Yeah.
in this book. Wow, can you believe we haven't met her yet? Um, to see.
She's been with us on air. She's been
Oh,
with us on
She's been with us in spirit, um,
yeah.
all the time. All right, here's some more bungling for your list. Siegel learned, for example, that following Ron Harrison's February 19th conference, investigators and technicians alike had rushed to read the Esquire magazine found in the McDonald living room. By the time the blood smear across the top of the pages was finally noticed and the magazine dusted for fingerprints, the only ones found were those of CID personnel and military policemen. He's right. It would be comical if it wasn't so severe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, Back at Fort Gordon, when the fingerprint technician developed the film on which he had photographed prints found inside the apartment, he discovered that more than 50 of the pictures were so blurred as to be useless. Perhaps, he theorized, trucks passing by or firing from a nearby artillery range had caused his camera to vibrate. Sounds more like DTs or something.
Hmm.
Vibrating trucks. Whatever the cause, he found, excuse me, when he returned to the 544 Castle Drive to re-photograph the prints in question, he found that moisture had penetrated the protective tape he had placed over them and that more than 40 had been obliterated and would thus remain forever unidentified, markedly decreasing the certainty with which prosecution could claim that there was no evidence of intruders inside 544 Castle Drive. I still think they could have pulled it off, Bill. I think you can take the last three here. We'll call it a night.
As the toll of blunders mounted, Bernie Siegel suggested ever more pointedly to the hearing officer, Colonel Rock, that irreparable damage had obviously been done to the crime scene and that this damage had rendered useless indeed had thrust into the realm of wild conjecture any inferences which might otherwise have been drawn from the so-called physical evidence. Each day, as the hearing recessed, Siegel would emerge from the room to regale eager reporters with tales of the latest fiasco, with army prosecutors under strict orders not to comment in any way. Siegel's accounts, which did not tend to minimize the significance of the mistakes, provided the sole basis for news reports on the progress of the hearing. Thus, as the days passed and the army was made to appear ever more foolish and incompetent, the original cynicism with which most reporters had viewed MacDonald's account, an attitude that, in the wake of the formal accusation, had hardened into open disbelief, began to give way to a sense that, in light of such gross investigative malfeasance, the handsome Ivy League Green Beret doctor just might, after all, be telling the truth.
Giving way again. And I think we haven't fully escaped the shadow of that very moment when the media became, what if, just might, after all. I'm still living in it with certain I think we were going hard on Megan McCardle last week. There's certain establishment people still, given the malfeasance, that
Yeah.
story that is so obviously fake might be true.
Yeah.
Not that there's anybody. The fact because this guy who obviously killed his family said there were other people in there, and he lost some fingerprints. Um, then you're forced to prove that there weren't people in his house. That's sort of a tough. That's beyond reasonable. I think that's an unreasonable
Well, the
doubt to
flower
stretch.
pot was stood up.
Yeah. So that showed that that definitely didn't come up at trial, I'm assuming.
Checkmate.
Yeah. Yeah, like people were messing with the crime scene, a bunch of again, that's what Bernie just put. Bernie was going straight for the jugular there. Doesn't matter. Nothing from the house can be used as evidence.
Right.
Nothing ever. Um,
I think that's still where the McDonald defenders are at.
yeah, that's all they got.
And that's where they have to be at because everything in the house points to Jeff.
Right. So if you take away all the physical evidence, then you're left only with all the obviously guilty things that he did outside of the house that we're going to hear all about. And the fact that he had no conscience, had no, well, we'll go into all that later. But I would say for now that that's all that, like you said, Billy, that's all they had. I mean, otherwise, what are we? Are you kidding me? McDonald defender speaks up from the back row. What about all the confessions?
Yeah.
What about all the confessions, man? They
Yeah.
didn't come from inside the house.
Yep.
So yeah, we got someone later confessed, took it, so we're gonna have to overcome that hurdle too. It's a long road.
Yeah. Yeah, the confessions really do present a problem for us.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of work to overcome that. But I know we can do it. And if you think Jeffrey McDonald is innocent, or you think he might be, um, I just feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
How's that? That's better.
Yeah. Compassion. I think striking a compassionate note.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you.
They know not what they do.
That's right. Whether
Mhm.
it's yeah, I think it's equivalent. It's equivalent.
They don't know what they're doing, man.
Yeah. And then we're the shining light on a hill for them.
Yep, that's it. So I think we'll wrap.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll wrap this one.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Matt Zoney, who I had lunch with today. and he's working on a we've plugged it before, but he's working on a TV show,
Yes.
TV series called The Crime Writer, that is based on the 87 civil trial. Matt Zoni is one of the world's experts on this case. I learn new things about the case whenever I talk to him. What I learned today was that James, your dad, in the letters to MacDonald, encouraging him to share more about his life while Jeff was in prison. Your dad mentioned the Executioner song by Norman Mailer as a model for what he was going for.
And that is that a famous book about an innocent person?
No,
Oh, so it might have raised an alarm bell in Jeff's mind. Um,
yeah, yeah, and well, and the way the Executioner song came together is actually, and Matt and I talked about this, but all the interviews were done by people other than Norman Mailer. Like this guy Larry Schiller came into town in Utah, got the rights to the story, interviewed everybody, and then went looking for a writer. So Mailer didn't do any original reporting. He just took all the tapes and then used the voices of the people to shape the narrative. And then he writes the book in this voice that is meant to be emblematic of the place and the people. It's in this very plain language. And yeah, your dad was telling Jeff that that's his model. So,
yeah.
and your dad did what Mailer didn't do, which was just transcribe the tapes verbatim.
When they're that good, although Jeff would have you say that, or maybe Gary Bostwick would have you say that it would have only been fair to put all 600 pages of transcribed tapes so that people could see the whole thing,
Yeah, but with a
not just
guy like
trust.
McDonald, I can assure you
Yeah,
the 600 pages would just make it way
would have
worse.
been way worse. And but we're still looking for the 600-page transcript for our own research purposes. But
Yeah.
more on that later, guys. We got a million irons in the fire. We're doing all of our work for you. We do it
All
for
right.
you, not for us.
Yeah.
Uh, and Zoni is an honorary production member, and if you're out there and you're mixed up in into the Hollywood scene, and you better act fast because I hear this baby's gonna sell very soon. So if you're you wanna lead on it, talk to us. Fatalvision Podcast at gmail.com.
Good night and good luck.
Good night and God bless.